So, guess who's back? We are.
Hey, guys.
It's been a very long time, hasn't it, Truman? You've never even been in a video.
You haven't. First video appearance, bro. What do you think?
Say hey. Say hey to the camera.
It's early evening time, so we'll see how he does, because it's like transition between last nap and bedtime.
He'll do good.
Yeah.
So this video is for something very special to us. It is Valentine's Day, but it is also what, Truman? What's today? You've been home for 6 months.
6
exactly
months, buddy.
Today. What? 6 months ago, on this day, we were leaving the NICU. He was discharged from the NICU. And was that the last video that we put out? Oh, we put a video out of like his recap video.
Yeah,
but
we
not,
haven't
done anything
not
else
us,
since then.
not seeing our
And
vlogs.
the reason for that is we didn't fully like expect not to do any more videos. We really wanted to keep people updated, and we wanted to keep doing videos, especially to see him grow and change, which we've done videos like on our phone, but it just got really, really nuts. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk to everybody about today. A disclaimer, this is not to whine or complain or to, you know, say like, oh, how sucky it's been.
Yeah, feel bad for us.
No,
or any of that.
I mean, but we do want to express what it's been like with the preemie over the last 6 months at home, to update everybody, but also for those who may find this video who do have a preemie and they're currently in the NICU or they're going to be going home with their preemie, and just things that we've come to expect, what we've experienced, to let people know that they're not alone, because it has been really, really difficult. And this is our first kid, so we don't know for sure, you know, like, is this a preemie thing? Is this just a baby thing? Is this a Truman thing? Like, is it just his temperament? So there are some things that maybe we'll discuss that you're like, yeah, well, my baby does that too, and he was full term, which, how would we know? So I guess we can just start from the very beginning about when he came home from the NICU. You know, we thought like, oh, victory. We were just so excited to have our son coming home, and really we're not prepared and did not expect to have a lot of the challenges that we ended up having. I mean, we knew when we left the NICU that he wasn't like the best eater. Like, he was getting fed through an OG and an NG tube, an OG tube through his mouth at first, and then an NG tube through his nose to get fed. And so he had to learn how to eat by mouth. So when we went home,
It's like I said, eat my mouth.
Eat by mouth. So it's not like when he left the NICU, he had been eating by mouth for that long. He had to teach him how to do that. And so when we got him home, he wouldn't nurse anymore because we had to introduce bottles. And so when we brought him home, he was on a preemie level nipple, which meant the flow was extremely slow for him. And maybe we can like shoot in a video, because I know we have one when we first brought him home of him trying to eat. And it would take forever to feed him. It was miserable. It would take like 30 minutes or longer.
30 minutes is like the longest they
didn't want us to go longer than 30 minutes just for his respiratory support, because he would just get so worn out and tired. And it got to a point, and I think a lot of the issue was his hernias, because he had a hernia, and every time he ate, you know, a hernia is his digestive tract going through like his balls, right?
Yeah, like, right above it, like down there, right above it.
It was an inguinal hernia.
Both sides of it. Both sides. So
they were real swole up. And
we had to like reduce it back in. Yeah. Once a day, like push it back into his insides.
But it was like you could hear, once the food started going through the digestive tract, you could hear it like grumbling down there. And I think he was just so uncomfortable. So not only was it difficult just to try to get him to feed by mouth, but how much he was taking in, because weight has always been a concern since we came home. And the hernias, like, he was just in pain. And so I can't remember where I was going with that, but it got to a point where it was way too like much anxiety for me to feed him. Like,
it was very stressful to feed him.
Yes. So
every time
it got to a point where I was so anxious about feeding him because he would scream and cry or pull away.
Yeah.
And then everything going through our minds as parents, because the doctors and neonatologists are hammering in our head, like, his weight's a concern, he's not gaining enough weight. And it's like,
he's got to eat this amount every day if he doesn't get it done. And so, like, if the environment wasn't perfect
for him to eat
in, then he wouldn't eat what he needed to eat. So, like, every time, and even still today, 6 months being home, I still feel those things, like when I'm feeding him in the bottle. I'm like, don't want to move the nipple out of his mouth, because if I do, then he might not eat anymore. And it's just like the trauma of all that. And he eats, for the most part, he eats fine now.
Yeah, for the most part, he does eat really, really well now. I mean, when we brought him home, up until probably almost November, I think, we were having to feed him on his side. So, you know, like a normal full-term baby, you can feed them cradled or whatever. We could not do that with him because he had to stay organized. Mm-hmm. And so that's how they taught us, how the OTs, the occupational therapists, taught us what to do in the NICU, how to feed him, is that he had to be laying on his side. And you'll probably see from the video that we posted how he's eating on his side. So he had to do that for a long time because he would start to just sputter or choke or couldn't stay organized when we were feeding him cradled. Now we can do that as of, like, I think November we started doing that. And then over time we've slowly been able to increase his nipple flow on the bottle up from a preemie to a level 1 to now he's at a level 2. So instead of taking like 30 minutes to eat, he pretty much eats in less than 10 minutes every time, which praise the Lord has been such a relief.
Yeah.
So it's been such a battle, just even with feedings with him.
Yeah, he used to eat for 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yeah, like total.
Yeah, and now
through all of his feeds.
Now it's an hour to hour and a half tops.
Yeah, so that was one thing that we weren't expecting when we came home, was just the challenge and the anxiety that we felt with feeding him. Mm-hmm. And not only with just learning how to feed him or him learning how to eat, just like we said, the weight of making sure he was getting enough milliliters or ounces a day to make sure he was gaining weight. We literally were tallying and writing every single time.
Yeah.
And I was like, remember, I was calculating on my phone, like, okay, if he eats 50 mils now, if we feed him again in 45 minutes and I give him 45 mils, then he's that much closer to his goal. Like, he had to have like a goal of daily milliliters, like a minimum, for him to be able to gain the appropriate amount of weight. It was freaking stressful.
Well, right before we left, they were so concerned about his weight gain that one of the doctors that we really trusted there, he said it's a possibility that he will need to get a G-tube if he doesn't start eating more and eating better. And so, he's like, I don't want you to be shocked by it if that is mentioned, because that was kind of the path we were heading down if he didn't.
Yeah, so I think they always felt that stress, like, oh crap, like if this starts going negative, is he going to have to get a G-tube? And we did not want to have to do that for him.
Right.
So anyways, we could go on and on about all that stuff, but feedings were difficult for us when we brought him home, even until, probably a month or more in, we were just having a hard time sleeping. Like, he would sleep, but we had to wake him up to feed him. That was another thing. We had to wake him up every 2 to 3 hours to feed him, even at night. Even when he was like hardcore sleeping, we had to wake him up to feed him.
Because of his weight. Like, if we did, he wouldn't make up for the food. Like, we had to feed him because he had to get the calories.
He would make up for it during the day. And so, but for us, going from him being monitored 24/7 at the NICU and then bringing him home, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, you're supposed to trust that everything's going to look perfect now, even though you've seen him have apnea spells and you've seen his heart rate get too high and you've seen his heart rate get too low and you've seen him do like all these things. It's like they would never release us from the NICU if he wasn't ready to go. But it was I think it was just that, again, the word trauma that we had got from being in the NICU is that we were like, I remember putting him in his mama to sleep. Yes, I know we didn't put him in a crib, we didn't follow the things, but
that's not safe sleep, Sabrina.
Yeah, but it was very stressful. That's why he was used to sleeping in the NICU.
The OT told us you better buy one of those.
Yeah, was put him in a mama room. So I remember putting him in his mama room, and his outlet was on. We bought an outlet, which, praise God, that has been like a lifesaver.
We were gifted an outlet. We didn't pay for it.
Yes, we were
gifted.
Some
great people raised money for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we had that on, and I remember literally sleeping next to his mama room on the floor with the mama room on my phone, and I would fall asleep for like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
maybe 15 or 30 minutes, and I'd like wake up and just check the monitor, and I just keep looking at the outlet, making sure his oxygen levels were
Yeah.
there. Like,
Even though it has a little unit that will like go off, if there's a warning, you can have the app on
but
your
it's
phone
like I
that will
didn't
give you the
trust
readings.
it.
So we're
was
like wanting to see the readings constantly.
Yeah, it was like I didn't trust it. So just sleep was difficult, and then, I mean, even early on, he was grunting. Oh yeah, you having a hard time?
Your turn.
He's like, why are they all like, who are they talking to all the time?
You want to say something? Make sure you look right in the lens, okay? Right in there. Don't look at the screen. Look at the lens.
So it's okay.
Here.
What?
Here.
Let me see what
Go ahead, Mom. Keep talking.
Can't remember what I was saying.
We were watching yeah.
So like with his hernias, he would grunt all the time, and so that even made it more difficult for us to sleep at night because he was grunting, and then I'm like, oh God, is something wrong with him? You know? Are you just so confused that we keep talking?
Are you trying to hijack this?
And
we
so
only have
then I finally was like, okay, I
can
can sleep so much better if he would just sleep on me. And
Yeah.
he slept better, we slept longer. Yeah, he just hears us talking. I think he wants to like be at a part.
Yeah, he does, because he keeps looking at me.
And so I would sleep in the recliner at home, and he would sleep in my chest.
Yeah.
And he did that for a long time until we finally felt comfortable enough for him to sleep in the napper on top of a pack and play.
It's like normal parents. I think you think about. My mom used to say, she's like, I always check and see if you're breathing, but there was nothing to really get any. There's nothing like that's just your mind, right? But we actually saw our kids stop breathing at times and have all these things. So when you get home, trying to sleep, knowing that that's happened is really difficult. Like that adjustment period.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really hard.
Then another thing was also because there was so much trauma from the NICU of hearing him cry, is that it was hard for me to even let him start crying at home because it was just like flashbacks, you know, like, oh God, like what, I can't let him cry too much, or, you know, he won't be able to breathe, or his heart rate will get too high, or, you know, it just, the times where he would cry when he was in this isolate and we couldn't do anything about it. Like a mother's natural instinct is when their baby cries is to pick them up and comfort them. When he was in the isolate and he would cry, like if they'd prick his foot to get blood drawn or whatever, or if just he wanted to be comforted, and we couldn't just get him out of the isolate because he was too sensitive at that point, and we had to get him only out during certain times. And so it just was very, very difficult for me to let him even cry at all. So getting him crib trained or anything like that, that wasn't happening anytime soon in this house. We eventually did do that, but it was very difficult to let him cry. Also, another thing that's been very difficult since we've been home is just being in isolation, because as soon as we got him home in August, and then they say not to take him out in public or to be around a lot of people for at least 6 to 8 weeks. So we didn't do that, and then by the time 8 weeks was up, now winter started. Yeah. So then flu season, RSV season, all that crap kicks up, and so we've had to be super, super cautious about him not being around anybody sick. Yeah. And so everybody's like been sick, and if they've been sick, we're like, you can't see him for 5 to 7 days. You know, we don't want to chance anything with him. So we've been in isolation. I mean, Derek works, so he gets out of the home some. He's been trying to let me get out of the house more, but just being in the house all the time and not being able to have a lot of visitors, and it's been extremely difficult on us. I'm probably going to do another video, or I will do another video on just the things that I struggled with as a woman and as a mom, and I did not want to admit it for a long time, but I did deal with a lot of PTSD from the NICU and also postpartum depression just because of hormones and not taking care of myself and sleep deprivation and all that stuff. So, you know, things that normal full-term moms experience, and it was almost like it was exemplified because of everything we went through in the NICU. Since we've been home, we've had 2 surgeries. Yep. He's had 2 surgeries. So we had the hernia surgery, and we had another surgery that we kind of just chosen to remain private on. So just in 6 months, Truman's been under anesthesia twice for a surgery and been in recovery. And the first surgery, the hernia surgery, we actually had to stay overnight there. And so
that was the worst night.
It was horrible. It was so
bad.
I mean, he was coming off anesthesia, and he probably was in a little bit of pain.
They clipped a tongue tie too, though.
Oh yeah, yes. So 3 surgeries? So he ended up having a tongue tie. So and then that was what helped tremendously with his
eating.
feedings,
Yeah.
is after he got his tongue tie clipped.
Yeah.
And then also because he's premature, he has an immature nervous system along with a lot of other immature things. So where most babies have that startle reflex that like wakes them up when they fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Normally that goes away by 3 months, I think, when they're like 3 months. Truman like still has a startle reflex now. Like he's 9 months old now, and at times he falls asleep and he jerks himself awake, and it's frustrating to him and it's frustrating to us when we're trying to get him to go to sleep. And so and he just gets super startled anyways. Like you just walk into the room and he like freaks out. I'm like, what the dude,
you don't have to do anything,
fine, you know. And he freaks out.
I know babies do that, but I mean he's definitely, it seems like it's
way
definitely
more startly. So that immature nervous system and everything that's just developing a little bit slower than normal babies. And you know what? Truman's very, very smart. And so none of this is just to say like, oh, he's not normal or he's so behind or whatever. He was born 10 weeks early. Of course he's going to be developmentally delayed according to somebody that was born at full term during, you know, he was supposed to be a July baby and he was a May baby. But also that comes along with it is that Truman looks so good. You know, you just saw him on camera. He looks like a normal baby. Like nothing's wrong. I mean, other than that, he's really small for his age. But so family members or, you know, friends, they just don't understand that he is not developmentally where a normal 9-month is. So there are certain things that we freak out about on people, you know, like, oh God, don't feed him that way, or please don't move him while you're feeding him. You know,
sorry.
And it's not because like, we are nervous parents, but it's because we saw him from the very beginning getting trained how to eat. So he can't sit there and lay down on the ground and try to eat from his bottle. It's just not happening.
No.
He still chokes and sputters sitting up, eating his bottle. So just some of those things has just been very difficult because he looks like a full-term baby in the way that he, you know, he's so smart and he's strong and all of that. He looks like that, but he's just not up to speed with that kind of stuff. So that's been really difficult. We see an occupational therapist like every other week since we've been home that's been helping him try to make those neural connections in his brain so that he does catch up developmentally. They say that premature babies catch up by the age of 2. So right now he's 9 months old and he acts more like a 6-month-old. He, you know, he's not sitting up on his own yet. He's not rolling over. He's super close to rolling over. And I think he totally could. He's just being ornery about it. He literally like rolls half of his lower body over and just chooses to not do
He'll just hang out there on his side.
Yeah, like he just chooses not to lift his upper body because he's like, why do I want to be on my stomach?
Yeah.
If he can get to things by squirming around, he totally will. So that like those developmental things that you expect that by his first birthday he's gonna have, he's in 3 months he's probably not gonna be crawling, you know, like not yet. He's not gonna be walking by the time he's 1 year old, and so those can be things that if you're a preemie parent that you're not fully prepared for. Like you're kind of like, okay, whatever. But when it starts to get there as they get older and they're trying to hit those certain milestones, you're like, okay, I'm ready for you to like act your age.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like for so long he's almost been a newborn style. Like let's lay on the ground and play with your playmat. You've been playing with your freaking playmat for 6 stinking months. Like you should be moving up and being in a jumper or something, you know. It's probably really boring for him too. As much as are you okay? I think he has like so much saliva right now because he's still teething and he keeps like gagging on his saliva.
Yeah.
So what are the other things?
I don't know. I got something like stuck on my uvula.
Oh, and some of the things that Derek and I were talking about is that because of a lot of the trauma from the NICU and us having to make decisions because of his prematurity, there were probably things that we could have treated him more like a normal full-term baby.
Yeah.
I don't know why I say normal, like what's normal, but we probably could have treated him as if he was
a full-term baby.
But we had our hesitations just because of everything that we've seen. So it was probably a parent fail on our part.
Yeah. Well, we were so trained and ingrained
in everything
in
that we
NICU
were doing.
style. Like we barely just like in the last week or two have started to count his food by ounces.
We were always
instead
counting
of milligrams.
milligrams. Oh yeah, it's not. Why did I say milliliters?
I don't know. Maybe it is. You know what? I don't
It's
know which one. Is it milliliters? We just say mils, okay?
Mils.
Not meals, but mils. M-I-L.
What did you say was?
Milligrams, but I think it's milliliters.
I think it is milliliters.
Yeah.
Truman, it's milliliters.
I don't know.
Oh, and so like I said, we have OT comes every other week, and they're working with him, and he just has more stiff muscles. Then he's not like as flexible or whatever.
He didn't have that fluid to get all
loosey goosey
up in there.
Yeah, so he's pretty stiff, and we have to work with him on getting his knees bent and trying to get him to sit up on his tush correctly. We also, since we've been home, we've had to have a home health nurse come out.
Almost weekly.
Yeah, they've changed it from every other week to once a week. Like they've changed it off and on just because of his weight, and they've never been satisfied with his weight. And we actually have to go to like a specialist next week for his weight, which Truman's never lost weight since he's been home. Okay, he's never lost weight, but it's just never been up to their standards, and which is very frustrating because he's always been on his own timetable. Even when he was in the NICU, he was on his own timetable. So that's that.
Yeah.
That stinks. But so we're hoping very, very soon that we're going to be graduated from a program, that we're not going to have to go see a neonatologist anymore, that we're not going to have to sit there and get him weighed every single week.
Yeah.
And that I feel like that's going to be like a relief off of us and a pressure off of us, because we track everything for him. We track every time he eats, how long it takes him to eat. We track every diaper, every poop. Like, I'm sure full-term parents.
We could probably back off the diapers a little. We're kind of okay there, but
yeah, but we still
the
track
food still
everything.
though. Yeah, we still need to know what he's eating.
And I think at this point now we've just gotten used to doing it, and we kind of like it because we're like, oh, he's had 32 ounces today. Like, good job, Truman.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
It feels like a competition or something, you know.
Yeah.
Which we found a really cool app that we use. That
Feed Baby.
It's called Feed Baby, and
it's really good.
It syncs. So like if I'm gone and he takes care of Truman, then I can kind of see what Truman's doing, or when I come home, I don't have to converse with him about what he's done. I can just look at the app.
It's different now because I'm the income.
Yeah.
I work and I have my business. She stays home.
Which some people probably didn't know that I ended up quitting my job to stay home with him. It just wasn't feasible.
Just had to do it. Couldn't put him in daycare, and I think it's the best decision.
With his immunity, it wasn't really safe to do that, and all of his feeding issues and everything. Who were we gonna think and train to?
Someone would have been like with us all the time.
It probably would have had to been like a nurse or something. Would have had to hire an in-home nurse to come and take care of him, which wasn't feasible. So we had to find a new normal for us, which everybody does when they have a kid. They have to find a new normal, but we had to get used to antepartum life. Oh yeah. We had to get used to antepartum life, living in the hospital. Then we had to get used to NICU life.
Yeah.
Then we had to get used to life at home with a preemie. And now it's like I feel like and once flu season's over, like we're gonna get used to life, like actually being a family out in public.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird. Go to the store together. I know some people do that stuff, but we just made a choice. We said we went through too much, and we thankfully have the opportunity where we don't have to put him in those environments where he could get sick or be at risk. And so, we've 99.9% of the time been completely healthy, all of us. Since we brought him home, and that's on purpose. I mean, we fought to keep it that way a lot, and annoyed a lot of people too, with our rules and regulations. But it's got us to where we are now, and now we feel like we're kind of on the home stretch of gonna be living a normal life as a family. By the time he turns 1 in May.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he's gonna be 1 before we actually gonna be out in public as a family. Yeah. It's been really hard, and it stinks. It stinks that it had to be that way, and sadly, I still kind of mourn over the way that my pregnancy went and how everything had to go down and why did this all happen and all that kind of stuff. But we're just thankful that look at this boy. Look at how beautiful he is. Yeah. Look at you. Look at this
You're
baby.
So cute, buddy.
Look at this boy.
There's a smile.
He sees his toys down there.
Yeah.
But we wanted to update everybody, and we're sorry that we haven't done better about it. Like I said, things were extremely, extremely difficult. Like, I wasn't in myself at all. It was bad.
That's another video.
Yes. But we hope that if you have a preemie baby and you're home with your baby, that this, maybe not give you hope, but make you not feel so alone that you're the only one that kind of had to go through all these types of issues. But I guess what the heck is that?
It's his outlet alarm.
Oh, the battery's low, not that something's wrong. But I guess it could give you hope that eventually a new normal starts to come. Like you start to feel normal. We're laughing a lot more. And I'm back at church on Sundays. Derek goes to prayer on Wednesdays. We're getting better sleep, all that kind of stuff. So take courage, take heart, have hope. Things do get better, and all of us preemie parents will eventually be out with our parents and be out with our babies, be out as families, and we're super excited to actually get Truman together with some of our friends' kids, but also other NICU babies. The families that we met when we were in the NICU, nobody wants to go through those circumstances, but we met some pretty incredible people there, and they're lifelong friends to us, and so we're super excited, especially Truman, to get together with Isaac, your old roommate at the NICU. Do you remember Isaac? We still talk to his mama and see him all the time on Marco Polo. So we thank you guys so much. I know this was pretty long, but
thanks for watching our short film.
Thank you for watching our documentary. We love you guys, and we are very, very thankful that you continue to keep us in your prayers, and that you love us, and that you love our boy. So many of you are commenting on our Instagram and our Facebook stuff about how adorable, and his little chunky cheeks and his little double chin.
Yeah, you like it.
Yeah, you're a pretty special boy, huh? You're a miracle boy. We love you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Bye!